Hello and welcome to Beads Jar. My name's Billy and in today's tutorial I'm going to show you how to make these lovely sterling silver feather earrings. We've actually also used the ear wire jig and created an individual ear shape hook as well. For these wonderful earrings we're about to make, I've chosen a selection of the Checo beads and Miyukis. So we have the size 11 Miyukis and also a size 8 in this beautiful, I think it has to be one of my favourite seafoam green colours. And I've got a sterling silver beautiful feather charm that I'm going to add on. I'll be using the Eslon in the dark forest green. I've got a selection of 1 inch and 2 inch eye pins and head pins, as well as a very fine 0.4 craft wire and a 0.8 craft wire. To make the ear hooks, I'll be using the Finding Forms wire earring jig, which does have a full list of instructions as well when you buy this, and it comes in a box with the diagrams on how to put it together, but I will actually talk you through this process. Tool-wise, I've got 2 pairs of flat nose pliers, round nose pliers and side cutters, and just a basic pair of scissors as well. I'm going to cut a length of wire here, about 8 centimetres long, and I'm just going to take that off. And this is what we're going to create our ear hook with. So we're going to get our Finding Forms wire jig, and the first thing we're going to do is post it through the hole, and I'm leaving about 1 centimetre, and I'm just going to fold that down with my finger so I can grip that there. We're going to go around, we're going to go underneath, no, not going to go over the top and around our jig here and up and over the top of the jig. Come back down and right around the bottom. Do this twice because we're going to make 2 earrings. So cut your second wire as well, and once you've gone around the whole jig section, undo the back and that'll just drop out. It doesn't look much there, but now we're just going to cut a few pieces off and it'll give us a perfect ear hook shape. So firstly I'm going to take my side cutters and I'm going to get nice and close into this loop section and trim away this excess wire. So I'm going to flip that round and I'm going to trim away on this section. So I've created my ear hook shape. I'm now going to add some beads onto the actual design of the ear hook as well, just to give it a really special and unique look. So I'm just going to tidy this up a second. So we're going to nudge that back in, and then I'm picking up the fine wire that we had, the 0.4, and I'm going to cut a small section of this as well. You really don't need that much, maybe about 3 or 5 centimetres of wire. Take 2 of the O beads, and you're going to start wrapping a tiny coil of the 0.4 onto this ear hook. So I've just wrapped it round with 1 twist first. Take my flat nose pliers and I'm going to grab that with the pliers so I can support it while I wrap another 2 coils around. So I've created a really tiny coil of wire here, and I just want to push that down, and we've got a tail, but don't worry about that at the moment. Now I want to put my first O bead on and down. Again, I'm going to take my flat nose pliers and hold the wire coil and then wrap up across the O bead. You really need to kind of have about 20 hands at this point. And we're going to come across and up over the O bead and wrap another 2 twists. Pick up the next O bead, take that down your wire, and again, wrap that around. You can push in at this point, and then I'm going to do 3 twists now to secure that. Take your side cutters, and we're going to get nice and close as we can to the wire and take the ends off. So one at the top, and you'll see there's a tiny lip. Bear with me, we'll come back to that in a second. And the bottom one. Don't be afraid to turn your project to a position where it's easier for you to work from, rather than twisting your hands in all different difficult positions. So I've picked up my flat nose pliers again, and I'm going to use these to tease over those little lips of wire. So I'm crushing them into the thicker 0.8 wire. So there's nothing sticking out that's going to upset or irritate the skin. And I'm just going to go to the base and make sure that one's done as well. So I've created this rather unique and interesting look for this ear hook, and now we can move on to the base of our project. Now I'm going to pick up some of the 1-inch head pins and the 2-inch eye pins, and I'm going to put my selection of beads on them. So one of the first drops we've got one of the little 11 Mayukis and a seafoam bead. So I'm going to pop that to ready myself, so that's ready to go when I'm going to finish. Next we've got one of those, and whatever you do, obviously you're going to do a duplicate of to make the second earring. So these are my 2 bottom head pins. With them prepared, I'm then going to take my round nose pliers and I'm going to make my loops. So I'm going to hold the top of the pin with my right hand and place the round nose pliers directly above the beads with my right hand, I'm going to hold it with the left hand. And then I'm going to push the top of the pin away from me at a 90-degree angle to create the first part of my loop. Reposition my pliers on top, and then I'm going to bring the head pin all the way over the top of the pliers and down towards the bead mat. I've now created a nice loop form. Take the pliers back into the loop and then twist the top of the pin around the neck of the head pin. I want to make about 2 coils, and as I do I go downwards, making this lovely neat loop. Pop that to one side and move on to the second one. So exactly the same process, holding it with my left hand and then supporting the pliers in my right, push the pin away, reposition my pliers, bring that over the top, and then we're going to create our wrap. So into the loop and then 2 twists downwards. Don't worry, I'll be doing lots more of these on this particular project for you to witness. So take my side cutters and we're going to take away the excess wire. Cut that off. And the same again. If you have any little lips of wire sticking out, use your flat nose pliers to very gently tease them in. Be careful because the beads are glass, and if you catch them, they will shatter. Okay, so there are 2 bottom parts. Then I'm going to pick up an eye pin. So I'm going to open that by holding one side of the loop, support near the loop with my thumbnail, and I'm twisting that open. I'm going to hook my head pin onto the eye pin, so that loop we've just created. Holding that over the side of my finger, I can then close that back together and know that the beads can't escape. Put my next selection of beads on there. And we're creating a twist with that one. So we're linking these together. Pliers above the bead, push away, reposition, bring over the top, into the loop and then wrap. Take away the excess. And my final one on this drop, another eye pin. And another selection of beads that I want. You don't have to follow the exact pattern for beads, just pop what you like on there. Away, over, through, and then wrap. So that's one of my drops done. Move that to the side. We'll do the next little one. So another eye pin, open, your selection of beads. So that's my other drop that I want to add on to the project. The feather, you don't need to do anything with that. It's already got the little jump ring on, so that can just go to one side. And we're going to take our Eslon, and you don't need masses. Maybe give yourself 10 centimeters, and then trim that off at an angle with your scissors. So an angle across the Eslon. And we're going to thread 8 beads in the sea foam. 6, 7, 8. Tie a knot. So basic loop and down. We'll tidy these ends up afterwards. So tying our knot, and we're also going to tie another length, and we're just going to stagger the lengths. So we're just going to figure out there on my original one how much we used lengthwise. Obviously when you're making them up, you're going to be doing both steps at the same time. So another knot. Take 4 of the beads over, and then you want to make sure the knot on the shorter strand is sat above the 4 on the longer one. Then we're going to tie a knot at the top of this one. Just check they're in the right place. My loop comes over and through. Guide that knot up. you don't want a massive loop of thread up there, so just keep working that up. There we go. As I say, we'll sort these excess pieces of thread out in a bit, so that can move to one side. And we're on to our final drop, which I've created this section here using the craft wire. So I'm going to take another piece of the 0.8 and cut that off. And this is where you can have a bit of fun. So I'm just going to make this little swiggly sort of section here. So I'm going to hold the wire with my round nose pliers at the loop, and I'm going to make a tight loop around. And then want to position my pliers again, and I'm going to set that off and go over. So I'm creating an S shape, popping my pliers back in, and then going to create another wiggle off, and then back up again. So now I'm going straight up. So I've created a similar shape there. Next we thread our beads on. And we need to make sure we've got the same length as the other one that I've done before. So once I'm happy with that, take the excess wire away. And with my round nose pliers again, I'm going to create a loop at the top of this wire. Go. So I've got all my sections done, and just before I move on, let's trim these ends away. So we don't need all that thread. I'm going to leave about 2 millimeters of thread below the knot. The last section we do is our loop on the earring. So we're going to take another piece of wire in the 0.8 and I'm going to wrap around just the top section of the Finding Forms jig. And we'll finish that off with our pliers. So I'm making my loop and taking away the wire. So I've just used it to get the shape really of the curve here. And then before we close and wrap this off, we're going to thread all of our beautiful beads on there that we've just made. So we're going to start with our shorter section of head pin and eye pin loops. That's going to go on, like so, followed by our wiggly line that we created. Then we want our cotton, so we're going through the loop on that. And feather. And our last drop on there. So we've got our beautiful tassels coming off. I'm going to hold across the top of that loop and I'm wrapping, and I want to do 2 coils around with that wire. So I've wrapped round, take the excess off, and then with my flat nose pliers, I'm joining the two together. So this loop will just open. So you're twisting one side up, hook that onto your ear hook, and close that back together. And that gives you your very, very unique, beautiful drop earring. I really hope you've enjoyed this little earring tutorial, and we hope that you'll give us a big like and share, and also subscribe to our YouTube channel. We'd love to hear you, so any comments and feedback are always welcome. Until next time, bye!